Hey, what's up? And welcome to the first in a series of video tutorials which aim to teach you the basics of Photoshop and get you to be able to create your own graphics and your own web and print designs in Photoshop. So let's get right into the first tutorial. The first thing to note is that I'm using CS3. Now CS3, the layout for CS3 is going to be similar to CS2 and CS4 and in fact Photoshop CS, although it might be a bit different in Photoshop 7 and Photoshop Elements, although most of the features should be the same. So this tutorial is going to teach you about the basics of the layout or the workspace in Photoshop and some of the tools. When you first start in Photoshop, some of these tools and all these toolbars might seem quite daunting and confusing. But once you learn what they do and once you learn the layout, everything will click and everything will go smoothly and you'll be able to do all your work much faster and easier. So the first thing to know about Photoshop is the workspace is entirely customizable. So over here I have my histogram. I can drag that out. I can drag out the info. You can just click on the bar and drag it up, drag it round, drag it down, wherever you want. And you can drag things back into place. You can drag things to the right. You can drag things underneath. You can drag things anywhere you want and you can fully change your layout. You can expand the docks. You can compress the docks. You can do whatever you want. And you can also, by clicking on the X's here, delete toolbars and docks. Unfortunately, sometimes you might close a dock by accident. So there's a couple of ways of getting around that. The first one is to click here on Window. And here are all the docks you can have. So if you accidentally closed the brushes dock, you could click on the brushes dock and the brushes dock would come straight back in here. Or alternatively, if you want to get back to the workspace you started with, you can go to Window, then Workspace, then click Default Workspace or Reset Workspace. Another great thing to know about Photoshop is that you can change your workspace however you want, and then you can click Window, Workspace, Save Workspace, and then you can save your workspace. So I'll save it as New Workspace, and then if I change out my workspace some more, if I change it a bit, delete some things, then I go Window, Workspace, I can get back to New Workspace here and it will go back exactly how I had it. So the first thing we're going to do is teach you about some of the menus. The menus are a lot similar to other Mac or Windows programs such as Word or PowerPoint, but there are some different features. So first of all, you have your File toolbar, and in there are all the New, Open, Browse, and Open As, Open Recent, Import and Export. And there are also, if you note on the right, there are also some handy keyboard shortcuts. And once you learn a few of the keyboard shortcuts, it just makes the work process a lot quicker. You've got your edit tools, undo, step backwards, step forwards, which we'll go into in another tutorial. Then you've got your image toolbar, where you can adjust images, you can adjust the color, the saturation, you can pixelate them, etc. And then you have your layer toolbar, where you control all your layers. This is quite a complex toolbar, and we'll go into this in another tutorial. You then have your select toolbar, and that's all about working with selections. So if you want to delete a specific part of an image, or if you want to select a specific part of an image, you can deselect it, you can reselect it, you can inverse that selection, so select everything else apart from the selection, and you can do a range of other cool stuff which we'll go into. Filter is another great toolbar. You can, with Filter, you can apply almost any effect you can think of to your images, and you can get some really nice effects by using things like blurs or sharpens, or you can use different effects like glass ripples and things like that to get a really nice and unique effect on your images. Then the analysis toolbar is another toolbar for setting the measurement and the data points of your image. And then you have the view toolbar, which you can use to zoom in or zoom out on your image, or you can click on actual pixels, which will show the actual size of the image, or the print size, which is useful for when you're working with print design. And then of course we've got the window toolbar, which I've already gone into slightly, where you can have your workspace and you can select a workspace and you can add different panels. And then of course you have the help toolbar, so if there's anything that you're not sure of, you can go there and you'll find pretty much all the answers in there. So let's create a new image. You can go to File, New, or it's Control N on a PC and Command N on a Mac. Now, when you open a new document, first of all, you're confronted with the new document toolbox. Now, there are many different things to note. First of all, you can choose the name, so we can write anything we want here. So I'm going to call this new document, and then here, this is the preset box. So there are many different presets that Photoshop has, which are useful. So you can, if I select international paper, I'm then confronted with loads of sizes which are useful for print design. I can select photo, and then I get different photo sizes. I can select film and video, and then I get different film and video sizes: PAL, NTSC, Cineon, and Film 2K and 4K, which are useful when you're creating elements for designing in films. And then then you have custom. So we're gonna choose web at the moment, and if you notice here, you can have any of these web styles, 640 by 480 being the web video default size, and if we go to custom, we can choose any size we want. The next thing to note is the resolution box. If you're doing anything for web design or broadcast, the resolution should be 72. However, if you're doing anything in print design, the minimum pixels per inch should be 300. Also, with all of these, you can change the units that they're measured in. So, for instance, if you wanted to do something in print design, you could change it to inches, and then you'd be able to type in, say, 8.5 inches just to get paper size. The next thing is the color mode. So you can choose whether to have bitmap color, grayscale, RGB, which is the web design color scheme, and CMYK, which is cyan, magenta, yellow, and K for black, which is the print design color scheme. And then of course you can have lab color as well, but to keep things simple, we'll go to RGB color for the moment. And then background contents. This doesn't matter for something like print design, where the background is going to be white paper, for instance, but it's always best to keep it on transparent if you can. So we'll go into transparent, and then here we can see our advanced toolbars. This is just our color profile, which is something that I don't think we'll get into in these tutorials. And then we can have our pixel aspect ratio, and if you're working with video or broadcast, you'd obviously go to DV or NTSC or PAL pixel aspects, but for the moment we'll just stick to square pixels. And then here on the right you can see the size that your image will be, and when you're ready, just click OK, and you'll be confronted with your new document. So that's all for this tutorial. In the next tutorial, we'll go through what to do with your new document and some of the tools you can use. Thanks. Until next time, goodbye.